mean, that's a pretty epic moment for Legolas that he just doesn't get. But I digress. Um, yeah, so maybe ends here. We don't really know. It could also be trolls, right? It could also be the hill trolls that met with Adar. But I think we would have seen them or known about them if they were trolls, because, like, how the heck did they get there if they're trolls? Whereas Ents could have just been there the whole time. And so that kind of makes sense, because they would just blend
And
in.
the Ents have incentive, because they're obviously pissed off because all these trees are...
True, they're
killed.
chopping trees, and the Ents are not going to be too happy with that. And they're going to call them little orcs and have orc mischief. So, yeah. Cool scene there. I hope we actually don't cut away from that. I know we do cut away from it in the episode. I hope next episode we pick right back up where Theo's looking up so we can see what he's looking at. Don't leave us hanging there at Rings of Power. Let us see what's going on. All right. We jump to Numenor, and it is the coronation.
Oh, yes.
And oh boy, the coronation of the Queen Regent becoming the Queen, and she is wearing white, and you know what color Pharazôn is wearing? It's red. He wore the red dress. He decided he would wear the image of the future, and she is the past. And it's a great color thing that they explained previously. Great foreshadowing, and a little... If you were paying attention, people, it's a nice subtle clue for everyone to know what's potentially coming. So I think that's really cool. I like that idea. And she can't see it. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, so I wrote that it really does seem like Elendil has become her like new right-hand man.
Yeah.
Because she didn't even know who he was.
No, she didn't even like him. She's like, you're just some random from some lower house on the East Coast or something like that.
Yeah, she didn't even know who he was, and now he's like hand of the queen to her, and so that we have shows from the crowd that she's the queen of lies, she's unfit to rule, and the leader of the ceremony says like, "Hey, no one's allowed to talk." This.
Yeah. And my first thought was, well, wait, aren't you now talking? So now you also broke decorum, And so yeah, so we got Queen of Lies, and then we got Elendil yelling silence.
Well, not yet. Yeah, Muriel first.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so she gets
addresses the crowd, and then she talks about sorrow, finding our course, etc. Like, yeah, we made some mistakes. Now we like navigate this, and then this is when. Who is our sorrow for? And this is when Aarion cuts in. She says, "My sorrow is for Isildur," and she's holding up the Palantir.
Yeah.
And Aarion's one who reveals that the Palantir, and she says that the king said to her that Muriel only went to war because the Palantir told her to, and now people are outraged. And I think that's when Elendil says silence or whatever, because it's his daughter who's saying that stuff.
So his daughter is being a traitor here.
Yeah.
He yells silence. That kind of like shakes her a bit, and she drops the Palantir, and it rolls to Pharazôn, and it's a great like moment for this guy. So he is politicking this perfectly, right? So he's gonna say, that's clearly lie. Like, he's concocted this, right?
Oh yeah, he's like, she lies. No way that the queen would listen to an elf still.
Yeah, exactly. Perfectly played. No way she's gonna listen to this. Let's destroy it. And then the queen. Okay.
Insists we need the plan.
Okay. Oh my god, this is so botched. Because I know the queen maybe doesn't want to lie to her people, but maybe not right now will we, discuss the use or not use of the Palantir. Let's just get this coronation done, then we can deal with it. Because Pharazôn is like, that's clearly a lie. The queen doesn't use it, and then the queen admits to using it, and that's like the whole plot that he has.
And she could have just been like, yeah, you're right, I didn't use it.
Yeah. In fact, she could be like, you're right. Take it to the dungeon, and we'll get rid of it later, or something like that. And then she just doesn't get rid of it, right? Like, that could be a thing. She could become, devious like that. I don't know. Either way, she screws herself here.
And so this is and this so she says she needs it. So then Elendil tries to grab it for her before they take it in stride, and he gets thrown back. It's like a
yeah. No, what does that mean? Because last time I saw someone grab a Palantir like that, they couldn't let go, right? We saw that with Pippin. He grabs the Palantir.
Yes.
And he's all of a sudden it like starts like possessing him, and he can't let go. He's trying to let go, and it's reading his mind. So I thought that's what we were gonna see there, but instead it like shoots him out, like he grabs it and it like explodes him backwards. Like, no, I don't want to have you touch me. I wonder if that's like Elendil being like a wholly good person. You know what I mean? Like he can't be corrupted, or is it not corrupted yet, and that's just a weird reaction that it had to a partial elf or something? Like, I'm not really sure, because like I know he's not partial elf, but there is elf blood in him if you go far enough up the lineage.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, we don't know why yet. Well, maybe we'll find out. So the crowd's going nuts, and then this is when the eagle shows up. My reaction is, oh, this is a good omen. This means Queen Muriel is definitely the queen.
Yeah.
That was my reaction. But then this Balzagar guy just starts chanting, "Pharazôn."
Right.
Pharazôn.
This
and the crowd. It's just because one guy started.
This is so Pharazôn. Yeah. This is so stupid. Does. This is the.
So it made me laugh. It made me think about like people being sheep and being very impressionable, and made me think like, oh, it's kind of like maybe the writers are taking a stab at the YouTubers. Like the YouTubers are chanting the show is bad, so everyone else is chanting the show is bad, and they're commenting that YouTube viewers are sheep.
Oh, mate, you could be onto something, because like this is such a stupid moment for these people in Numenor. Like, the eagles showed up. It's Queen Muriel's coronation.
The eagle is showing up to her coronation.
Pharazôn is not even up for debate. No one has said King Pharazôn, and then some rando goes Pharazôn. And then everyone starts chanting it.
I think there's a show that says the eagle favors Pharazôn.
Yeah, and it's like, so let me get this straight. The eagles showed up. It came all this way, and the idea is it knew Pharazôn. Okay, wait. It knew that Galadriel, Queen Muriel would be outed, and that the only person to walk up to the eagle would become king. What is this system?
Also, I take it that Tolkien changed his mind, but in The Hobbit, like the book, the eagles can talk.
Yes.
Don't they?
Yes.
So and then they don't subsequently, they don't talk anymore and going forward, do they?
No, I think he did change his mind on that. That's one of the ones where it's like, no, they're just magical creatures.
Okay. It's like, the eagle could chime in. No, I didn't mean that.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh, if only this was a dragon. The dragon could just be like, hey, no, I'm actually here for her. Your queen? Who's this Pharazôn guy? Why would I come for him? Who is this? Like, it doesn't even make sense. I came all this way. How was I to know that the queen would be outed by her right-hand man's daughter for listening to a Palantir? It doesn't even. How would an eagle get the eagle showing up? Doesn't make sense.
He just showed up. It's a coincidence.
Oh
just like the messengers dying.
Everything's a coincidence. That should be the title of Bilbo's book. Everything's a coincidence. A Hobbit tale. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, Numenor. Okay, the eagle shouldn't have shown up. I know they were trying to make a cool eagle moment. But if this is how they were going to write this scene, it doesn't make sense. This is bad plotting. Because right away, I was confused. I have been following the show since day one. I read all these articles. I was confused as to what was going on in this scene. Because this eagle showing up shouldn't make people chant Pharazôn. That's so weird.
I think that one guy, Balzagar, just saw the opportunity.
No, I agree with you, but it doesn't even make sense. Like it's like, I'm gonna chant Pharazôn because we're going to take credit for this eagle instead of the queen. But if you think about it for 2 seconds, there's no way in hell this eagle's there for Farazan.
Yeah,
And
I
no
didn't
one else
think
would
that.
join him. No one else would join him. It doesn't. It's so stupid. Like maybe it's a joke about you like sheeple and like people just going along with like whatever the loudest voice is doing. But I honestly, it's so dumb. I cannot believe it. Like it's one of those things where even if it happened in real life, you couldn't write about it because it's too dumb. People won't believe that people act this way. And maybe like that's one of these moments here. It's crazy. Like I don't know how to like. I'm still confused as to what's gonna happen here. Cause like sure they chant Farazan. He's not the king. It doesn't matter what the eagle does. This isn't Eagle Land. It's Numenor, and Numenor has a hierarchy of a monarchy that has a king then a queen. Farazan can't just become king. That would be a revolution, a rebellion.
Yeah.
Like you're a traitor.
I
You're
mean,
all
in the,
traitors.
in the lore, I mean that people say, lore is not necessarily even a thing in Tolkien because he changed his mind so much. But Farazan ends up marrying Muriel to get
That's what
the crown.
I remember.
Yeah.
We talked about that at one point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the lore, if you can go about it that way, that's actually similar to what House of the Dragon is doing, right? Like they've got a queen. I don't know if you're following that show. They have a queen that was usurped because she was a woman, and her husband, her uncle also, but her husband wants to be king, and it's very clear from their relationship that once she becomes queen, he will then use that to say, I'm actually the king, and I'm more powerful than the queen. And I could see that happening here. That would be a cool little twist, as if you had him marry the Queen Regent, and then once she becomes queen, he starts taking control as king. But instead, it's going to be a revolution. We're going to have a civil war, and there's no way around it. Like literally, this group of people just chanted. They're treasonous. They just chanted for Farazan to become king. A random senator or something.
Well, he's not a totally random senator. Like
he's from a noble family. You're right, but he's not.
He's like second in line, isn't he? Like
Is
after
he?
her. Yeah, he's like first cousin. His dad was like brother to the king.
Okay, all right, he can become king. I'm on board now. That wasn't even clear to me. I didn't know that. See, they need to set that up, because without that, to me, he's just a higher a popular senator or something, or a popular nobleman. I didn't know he was even in line to the throne. So
yeah, I think he's her first cousin, and she if you were doing like a male preference,
he might take it.
Airline thing, he actually would be.
Oh, okay, that's way better. All right, I like this way better now that I know people are chanting for someone who actually, through their laws, can inherit properly. And so, while there still might be a civil war, England has done this.
If she's formally declared unfit to rule, then he could.
Yeah. I mean, I literally just watched a show about Lady Jane Grey and like that whole catastrophe where she was.
Oh yeah.
So she was appointed queen for 9 days. Then she was killed because the king's sister,
who were technically disinherited, like they were, because his marriage with their mothers were annulled, so they're not legally. That's right. They're not legitimate children anymore.
That's right.
But they had the might. Might is right.
That's right. So they went to some other nobles, got their army. There wasn't even I don't even think there was a war. I think the armies just showed up, and all the people that were for the current queen just threw down their weapons and surrendered. And so then the queen was executed 9 days later, without a war. So that it can happen, and maybe that happens here. But at least it makes sense that people might back Farazan now that I know he's actually legally allowed to take the throne. I thought it was some random nobleman, like as if you just picked a guy and was like, that guy's really charismatic. He should be our king. And to me, that's not how society doesn't really function that way in a monarchy system. It can, but you have to like build up support, and it usually results in a bloody civil war or a conquest, like William the Conqueror into England. So, yeah, I kind of want to see what happens there, but I thought this scene was just really poorly executed in terms of how the people start turning on her. I know there's already people turning on her, like they already didn't like that she was blind because they're all ableist for some reason, but
They're very ableist. It's pretty funny.
but what's kind of silly is like, while I guess they were okay with her father, who was still king, being basically bedridden because she was doing all the work of the head of state, and now that she's blind, it's like, nah, she can't do it. I don't know. It's just kind of interesting that like they are so. There's a puritanism situation going on, I think, where it's like, Numenorians are better than others, and you can't do it if you're blind. There's a weird societal thing here that might be in keeping with Numenor, at least from what I know of Numenor. So I'm kind of okay with them being like that ableist. It's crazy how quickly they turn, and like I said, I didn't think Pharazôn was a proper choice. So now that I know he is, it's a better scene. It's still executed strangely though. And then there's this weird moments. They're chanting Pharazôn, the eagle's making this bluster and like spreading its wings, and then like I guess Pharazôn like goes up to it,
and he like holds his sword out. Yeah.
and then he holds his sword out in a weird manner. Like, what is that? Like, and even before that, Elendil's trying to like get to the queen when like everything's all like being like everyone's going crazy and people like throwing shit, and Elendil's trying to like get to the queen and like reach out and he can't quite make it. I'm like, just push through, man. Like, you're not even trying. So just like the way that scene is shot, I'm not a huge fan of it. It's one of those moments where it's super silly and it takes me out just because of all this stuff. But those are becoming much fewer as the show goes on, which is giving me hope. Like, that's the one good thing. And luckily we cut to I think a pretty good scene. If I'm being honest, it's starting to show the relationship as it's kind of crumbling between, not crumbling, but there's definitely some intricacies between Celebrimbor and Anatar, Sauron, and we get to see the dwarves out of their mountain during the third making a visit, and that's really cool to see. But then just to see how they interact here, where Celebrimbor is about to drop the mithril into the mixture when he's making the rings, and Anatar holds it out like, no, I will do the honors. And then he does potentially a switcheroo. I was watching this and I was like, okay, if you watch what he does.
I didn't catch that. I just thought maybe Anatar being the one to drop it he is introducing his corruption, but just by being involved in that process. But it could be a switcheroo, like he put in something else.
So what I'm imagining, and like it's an old magician's trick, like you could do this in real, like people do this in real life when they do like coin magic. I think what happens is he's got something in his left hand. I'll play the scene while we talk about this. I think he has something in his left hand. He holds out his right hand, and Celebrimbor gives him the mithril. He then does a fake plant where he doesn't put the mithril in his left hand. He keeps it in his right hand and then drops whatever was in his left hand into the cauldron. So I think it's a switch out. Either way, the fact that he's touching it, he's corrupting it, but I would like this idea to be, here is a demigod who can do real magic doing a
sleight of hand thing,
Penn and Teller's sleight of hand thing to trick Celebrimbor into corrupting these things. I think that'd be really good. So Sauron,
I don't think you could do sleight of hand against an elf, though. Don't they have like keen eyes or something? Like, maybe they don't.
You know what? No, you're right. Let me think about this. Can you? Well, okay. You know what? Okay, well, we'll get into this in maybe a silly other video. But I digress. He touches it, and he insists on dropping whatever it is into the cauldron. It might be mithril, but that's the corruption. These rings are corrupted, and you're starting to see that friction between the two of them. Because as much as Celebrimbor wants to be the creator of these rings, he's not fully on board with how this Anatar is going about it. Like, he's lying to his king. He is forcing them to make rings at a really speedy pace when you should take time to get it right. And so there's definitely friction there, and that's going to be really cool to see, especially if there's ever a revelation. Like, I don't know if Celebrimbor will ever know he was tricked or if he'll just die. But if he knows he's tricked, man, that's going to be heartbreaking, because here's a guy that believes he's about to save the world, essentially, with his gift of craftsmanship, and he will become the greatest elf to ever live. And then it's revealed, oh no, I was tricked by Sauron the Deceiver, and I've just doomed people to death. Like, that's going to be so heartbreaking to watch, as this character, like, his entire ego is stripped away. So there's something to look forward to for true drama fans. But yeah, Durin the Fourth is still, like, not on board with it. He's, like, watching this, and he's like, yeah, like, this dude's creepy. Look at how he drops this thing in.
He's so weird.
He's so weird. And then he, like, smirks at Celebrimbor, and Celebrimbor's like, why are you smirking at me, bro? And he's like, he's like, we're doing serious work, but Sauron just can't help it. He's just like, this is going perfectly. And then it cuts to black, and that's it. That's the end of the episode. Oh man, I mean, look, I don't know how much, like, we're gonna rip on the actor for playing Sauron here, because I think they're doing a fun job with it. I don't know how much it's them, how much is the director, but it is starting to become kind of silly in how he, like, interacts with Celebrimbor. Like, there are these moments where it's so obvious ego stroking and just like, oh, you are the greatest of all. Like, it's almost too much. But at the same time, it's kind of fun. I'm kind of with it. Like, I didn't think I would be. When I first saw the wig, I was like, I don't love it. He looks better as Halbrand, but, whatever. He can be the master of wigs for all I care. But but he was acting like a normal person, like a reluctant king, because he was putting on an act, and the actor doing Halbrand, he was doing a good job. Now there's a bit more over the top. He's now acting like Anatar, like the voice of the gods, and so there's more exaggeration, I guess, with the character and how they present, and so it's just kind of, it is a weird change, and I do prefer Halbrand to this Anatar, but I don't hate it. I didn't think I would like it as much as I'm liking it. It's kind of fun. There's silliness to it, but at the same time, it's working, and I'm kind of on board with it. I don't hate these scenes. I like Celebrimbor. I like Anatar Sauron character. So yeah, I'm having fun with those scenes. I did not think I would. At the end of season 1, I was like, I hate this Celebrimbor guy, and I don't think I'm gonna like Sauron, sexy Sauron. I kind of liked Halbrand, but I'm on board. I'm there now. I like these guys. So there's very few parts that I don't like anymore, which is really, actually, my least favorite parts right now have been the orcs, and that's not the new Adar's fault. We just haven't really gotten anything outside of the orcs torturing people, and that's not really fun. So, the orcs aren't the only place I don't really care to go right now. Because even though I don't like him, I like hating Isildur. So I actually like Isildur scenes, because, like, watching him struggle to, like, unrope his horse. I mean, come on, dude. Like, you're the worst. It's so fun. He's gonna screw up every scene he's in. He's gonna screw something up. And I don't even know if that's deliberate. Like, because they wrote the scene and they're just like, how can we make it? How can we extend the scene and get some tension? I don't think they were thinking like Isildur keeps screwing this stuff up. He almost blew up the ships and created a bad omen. He got his friends fired. He wasn't very good in
He just
battle.
asked, "Hey, how'd your mom die?"
Oh god, it's so bad. Yeah. So yeah, that's it for episode 3. I'm actually starting to have fun. So, all right, let's do this. First 3 episodes all dropped in one go. Now I watched 1 and 2 and then 3. I'm curious about people in the comments. Did you watch all 3 in one go, or did you space them out? And I think they got better over time. So first one is my least favorite so far, and then 2 is decent, starting to get back there, and then 3 has a lot more going for it. It has some weaker scenes, like the coronation scene is my least favorite, or second least favorite. My least favorite is the horse scene, I think. So it's got some weaker scenes, but overall we're getting a lot more plot, and the plot is getting more precise, and we're actually getting to things happening instead of having scenes that are kind of filler like we had, I think, in episode 1. So yeah, maybe it's a toss-up. See, episode 2, episode 3, they're both kind of on equal footing for me. But the show is in a good direction. I actually am enjoying all the different characters and all the different places we go, which I wasn't doing in season 1. I really didn't care for going to the Harfoots, and I didn't care to go to Galadriel for most of the time. So I'm glad that that's changed, because like Galadriel's taken a huge step back as a main character. She's still there, but she hasn't been deciding anything. The plot has kind of revolved around her in a way, but like she's not in control, and she doesn't get to just kind of whine about things and get her way, even though she still isn't paying any consequences, but still. So yeah, let us know down below any final thoughts from you. Like how do you view like this whole dropping 3 episodes, and they're in the middle of the night, and like how do we watch these things going forward?
No, I don't really have any thoughts. I mean, it's interesting that they're doing it that release time. I mean, that's what Star Wars did do for Mando in season 1. I remember, because I remember it coming out absurdly early in the morning. It's corresponding with 12 p.m. Pacific time. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So it ends up being 3 p.m. our time. I mean, I guess I'm interested to see what happens next. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, that's true. There was a few moments in season 1 where I didn't really care to see what happened next for certain situations, whereas here I am intrigued. Even like the coronation, I didn't love it. I do want to see what happens next.
I mean, there's cliffhangers for almost
true,
all the storylines right now.
That's true. In terms of like keeping you hooked, they have given us a lot to sit on while we wait.
I mean, we don't know what happened to the Harfoots.
I know.
That was episode 2, so they let us sit on that for all of episode 3.
Yep. No, I know, and so yeah, we've got almost everyone's got cliffhangers, like you said, and also like all of them are getting to places where I'm more in. Like I didn't care about the Harfoots themselves, but now we're getting to see where the Stranger and Nori head toward, like where they're going. So like everything is getting to a point that I was way more interested in anyway. Like I was more curious about Numenor at this point than seeing Galadriel try to like weasel an army out of them. Like I don't really care about that as much. I'm now really invested in like, okay, how does Numenor go forward with this civil war brewing? The dwarves obviously getting this ring. Okay, real quick before we wrap up, when the elves sent a message saying we're gonna assist you and give you aid, and the dwarves arrive and it's like, here, we'll give you magic rings. I was like, why don't the dwarves ask for like some food? at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, hey, okay, we'll do your ring deal, but can you throw in some food as well? Like, we're starving here. What are these magic rings gonna do for us? It's like a Jack and the Beanstalk vibe, where it's like, here's some magic rings.
Yeah.
Give us Mithril and we'll give you magic rings. How about this? We give you Mithril and you give us magic rings and food. Because the previous bargain was we give you Mithril and you give us 400 years of food. How about 1 year of food and magic rings? I don't know. Like that's just a weird little thing I had where it's like, I kind of feel like the dwarves should ask for more, because like they have to take the none of the magic rings are there for them to inspect, right? All the magic rings are in Linden. So the dwarves are just taking the word of Celebrimbor, no Elrond, and this random Anatar guy that's creepy. And
they're not insisting on it. Well, let's wait till Elrond gets here, because that's like the one guy my son kind of knows and trusts.
Yeah, let's let Elrond tell us that magic rings are helpful. No, exactly. So like, to me, I'm like, the dwarves should, and obviously we got very little dialogue there when we saw the dwarves handing the Mithril over. I do wonder and hope that we get more about like, okay, we'll do this because our people are starving and we have nothing. Like, there has to be a reason that we're doing this because we're desperate. It can't just be like,
because it's not urgent. They still have 3 months of food.
That's right.
Yeah.
So now, how long does it take to travel a king from Khazad-dûm to Eregion? How long is that travel?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. 10 minutes by speed walking. like to me, like, okay, 3 months. Maybe it takes a week there and a week back. Like that's, I would think longer, but anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I thought that was just kind of a fun little like, hey, should the dwarves get more out of this? Like, Mithril's really valuable, and they saved the elves with it. Maybe the elves just give them food. You know what I mean? Like the elves out of like, that's what I thought was gonna happen. By the way, I thought they were gonna lure them in with, here's some food, and then the dwarves are gonna be like, oh man, I wish we could heal our mountain. And then Anatar goes, oh, I got some magic rings just for you, and then boom. There we go. But instead it's, we'll give you magic rings to help you. And the dwarves are just supposed to say, oh, okay, I guess you have magic rings then. Like, I don't, they have no reason to believe in magic rings. There are no magic rings. Like that. Like that.
That's true. And then, but then they also don't really go into this, because remember when Gandalf saw Frodo had or Bilbo and Frodo had the ring, he thought it might have just been a practice ring, because he didn't think it was the one ring. He didn't know it was the one ring initially, because there were other rings that had, I think Celebrimbor made them as practice before he made like the great ring.
That's right. Yeah.
And he thought this might have been a practice ring, so we didn't see practice rings get made or whatever.
No, I'm guessing they did them, and they should throw in a line with Celebrimbor saying, we can't rush these things. We got to make practice ones, and then have Anatar go, no, we can't do that. Gil-galad is on his way. We need to make these ones right now. Yeah. No, that would be a fun little, like I said, like those guys are kind of having some fun, and I'm all for it. But yeah, I think that's it. Let us know down below, how did you guys find this episode? And are you looking forward to more? We only have 5 more left. It's crazy. We're almost halfway through the season. It just happened.
Yep.
All right. Stay tuned for next time.